Good afternoon. Welcome to Sunday, March the 2nd, 2025. Dr. Dan Miller. You're on the 250 River with Dr. Dan. Episode 17 of our podcast. We're doing top fives. We are top fiving all over the place, and I don't have my graphic ready to go. Now I do. So here's the graphic. Boom, boom, boom. We're going to do top five. Today's episode, as I said, number 17, brought to you by the printer of the Paulson American Daily Advertiser, based in Philadelphia, colony of Pennsylvania. 99% fact, 1% fiction as our sponsor of today's episode. And we've just got it blunt, straight, head on in terms of our needs today for our sponsor. We're going to pay £12. £12, probably Pennsylvania currency, not 12 pounds sterling. Hang on. Not 12 pounds of ale. 12 pounds. Quote, will be given to a woman who understands plain cooking and housework. End quote. Inquire of the printer herein for further details. But again, 12 pounds. Woman understands plain cooking and housework. Thank you to this week's sponsor, the Paulson Daily American Advertiser in Philadelphia, colony of Pennsylvania. It's good to see you. At my estimated time here for today, maybe 13, 14 minutes. Let's start out with something here. Let's start out with me making a confession for everybody to hear. Some of you, this won't be a shock. Others it'll be new information. Here's my confession. I am not a person of straight lines. By the way, the smoke you're seeing is from my fire. I am not a person of straight lines. And if you want to see a straight line narrative, a straight line story, A to B to C to D, a straight line argument, A to B to C to D, you're not going to find it from me. I much prefer the river, the bends and the turns and the twists and the over there and zigs there and zags here and those kinds of things. So I'm not a man of straight lines. I am a river man. So we will flow where this takes us today. And so let's start with that truth. And we'll start with our number 5. Let me refer to my script here for today. It is a cylinder. A metal cylinder that's just been forged, struck, produced by a furnace in New York City. It's for a waterworks pump that is going to deliver fresh water to the city of New York through wooden pipes. This is a massive project. This cylinder is critical to the steam power of this contraption, this technology. This is number 5. They've just tested it this week, 250 years ago, and first time ever. It's said in the local newspaper there in New York. It's the first time it's ever been done. It worked. By the way, we're talking about 200,000 gallons is what we're going to be pumping on a daily basis once this thing is operational. But it is a fabulous event. Now, I bring this up. This is technology. This is the Newcomen steam engine, which has been around for about 60 years, state of the art. But this is the first time we're applying this here in the colonies to a municipal waterworks project. It's exciting. It's high tech. It's all tech of the day, of that era. And it's their version of drones and AIs and all kinds of other things that we have now. We've seen a lot of different arguments made, a lot of different debates and resolutions, and we're not seeing one real thing about technology. If you think about what's something that would be true if we went through a founding or a refounding in 2025, technology would be all over it. And I'm not talking about how it's delivered and communicated. I'm talking about the philosophy of technology would be all over it. But this is the first time we've seen it in our work for 250 years ago, and you never see it discussed in terms of the great debates, the great speeches, the great protests, and the great laws, and all the other things that are part of this period in this story, the Declaration and so on. Certainly some of the spirit that's there is linked to innovation and technology and all of that, but this is the first time we've seen it. This is why, for me, it's number 5 today. This wonderful new test that was done in New York City 250 years ago for the furnace to drive the steam power. Just so you know, there's a guy named James Watt in England 250 years ago today who's working on using the same technology but adding a second cylinder. Now, don't ask me to explain it. I might as well sit here and explain why this video works. But he's working on the technology of a second cylinder, which will completely revolutionize this 60-year-old approach to steam power. Nobody knows about it. And all of that. It's still got to be rolled out commercially, tried, used, adapted, all of those things. But my golly, that thing that he's working on is every bit as important and every bit as revolutionary as all the things we're talking about and all the things that are going to be on our top 5 list here today. Let's go to number 4. Yes, we're at numero quattro to be bilingual. Dudley Diggs. Dudley Diggs is number 4 on our list of top 5. He is from the county of York in the colony of Virginia. He's just been elected to be one of the county's representatives in what will be a provincial assembly set for March 20th in Richmond, Virginia. I don't know, usually for this kind of thing we're talking 50, 60 people. Dudley's now one of them. And he's 47 years old. He's held local offices. He's held local positions in the county and so on. But in 3 weeks or so, 3 weeks and a smidge, he'll be sitting down with the other provincial convention members in Richmond to figure out, now what do we do in light of whatever the current information is for the imperial and colonial protests and tensions and crisis and so on. So I want to wish him well 250 years ago this week, him and his family. And I want to ask you, what would you tell him? What would you advise him to do? He's obviously a leader. Now he's going to be amongst other leaders 3 weeks from now in his provincial assembly, March 20th. What do you want him to know as he's getting ready for this? And you know it's got to be tick, 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 tick in terms of counting down to the day that he leaves and the day that he goes to Richmond. What would you want Dudley Diggs to know from a leadership perspective for March 20th, 3 weeks away from now? Let's go to number 3, trio, tray, whatever, 3. That's what we're looking at right now for our top 5. We're at number 3. It's Alexander Hamilton. Hamilton has written his second printed essay. It's called A Farmer Refuted. And he's made the 3 spot here today, this week, not because of any particular argument that he's unfolding in this essay. It's more about the Hamilton that's unfolding in this essay 250 years ago this week. He's a very young guy. He's an immigrant from the West Indies. His dad's kind of a scoundrel, and on and on. And it's so he's on his own basically here in New York. And again, he writes this long, passionate, strong, just hits you right in the face kind of essay called A Farmer Refuted. It's his second one that he's printed. And gosh, you can just see the guy this young guy in every line, every paragraph, every page. It's exhausting to read the thing. And I pointed out, just to juxtapose this back a little bit, to number 5 with our steam engine. That's also in New York, also in New York City. And again, we don't hear anything of the technology, but my goodness, it's just as important as this young man's very impressive and very impassioned written arguments are. We'll just make a little parenthetical jump here fastly, I almost said, quickly, to remind you that it's Hamilton who, in a few years down the road, is going to see the new United States as this manufacturing dream, this innovator's dream, this business and entrepreneurial dream of the new world. And so the steam engine is going to have a perfect home here when it comes to exploiting it and maximizing its potential and things of that sort when it begins to hit the market a few years from now. So this is number 3, Alexander Hamilton. Number 2, Graphics Crew, thank you. Number 2 on our top 5 list, I've called the Salem Standoff. Now you'll see this in Redux, the Salem Standoff. What a great name, right? The Salem Standoff is what was supposed to happen. Everybody back in Parliament, back across the ocean, back over in London, who were the movers and the shakers and the pro-empire people, that's the majority, they've been hammering away at Thomas Gage, the Governor General of Massachusetts. Why don't you do something? I have to get off your butt and do something, and put it to the colonists, put it to the rebels, and the folks who are resisting and protesting and all of the other kinds of things. Get out there and put it to them. Well, he does. He does. So he organizes this kind of a strike force, not really so much, but it's an expedition, 240, 250 members of the 64th British Infantry. They're supposed to go out into Salem. What they're striking are weapons caches, supply dumps, ammunition, things of that sort. If they find anything important like cannon, that's really kind of the big deal. Bring that, by God, bring all that stuff in. Let's get it out of the wrong hands, right? Let's defang these people, is what he's doing. So that's what he's tried to do with Salem this week, 250 years ago. As my title here tells you, what happens? The Salem Standoff. It's not the Salem massive British victory. It's the Salem Standoff. So what happens is it's on a Sunday in Salem. People discover that a group of these 250 redcoats have landed and they're moving towards some destination inland. They kind of have a real strong sense of what the mission is in fact, and so they confront them at a bridge, and there's a standoff there, and it's touch and go, baby. I mean, you could have bloodshed with anybody pulling the trigger and jabbing the knife and the swords, and the only thing that makes this not be the first open bloodshed of the Revolutionary War is the fact that they come up with a safe phasing compromise and negotiation. We'll let you across the bridge. We'll let you go do your little expedition, but don't do it too much. Just go across, come back, go back home. Everybody's fine. Everybody's happy. You can tick off the box. You did your expedition. We can tick off the box. We didn't let anything go. And everybody goes back to Sunday, and tomorrow's Monday. And the commander, I think he's Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Leslie. Let's do it. There's your Salem Standoff. That's number 2. Number 1. And I've been dying to tell you this. I've been dying to share this with you. Let me get my numbers right here. We got to honor this in the appropriate way. Number 1 of our top 5 comes from a moment in this whole thing. So as part of the operation, I'm going a little long, I apologize. As part of the operation, Gage had sent out 2 officers, to collect intel, collect information before the strike force goes out. Get the roads, get the landscape, just get where is the stuff, get some names and locations, those kinds of things. So he says, put on brown clothes, put on a red handkerchief, and you'll look like everybody else. Of course, that's insane. But brown clothes, red handkerchief, now you're one of them. Now go on out and find my intel. So these two guys go out. They're not gone a half hour before one of them says, God dang, I'm hungry and I'm thirsty. Let's sit down. Let's go get something to eat. Real world, right? Let's get something to eat. So they stop in at this little roadside inn, sit down at a table. Their server comes over. I'd love to tell you what her name is. I don't know. She is a black woman. I don't know if she's free. I don't know if she's enslaved. I don't know if she's a servant somewhere, kind of, loosely in between. She's the server. Comes over. Can't you just see this? Comes over. What do you have? We got ale and we got ale. We got roast beef and we got roast beef. What do you have? They give their order. 5 minutes into the order, she's writing it down. She basically says, okay, I'll go get it. And then she says, you're going to get your asses chewed off. She knew instantly what this was about. She knew instantly that these guys were fake. She knew instantly that they were up here doing no good on behalf of the British Army, trying to put it to us here as protesters and resistors and all the rest. She knew right from the start. They're a half hour into their assignment. They're 5 minutes into their order at this wayside inn. And she's got it absolutely figured out. She says, you guys are going to get your asses kicked. Good luck. Leave me a big tip. She is number one in our top 5 this week. This is Dr. Dan Miller. It's been on the 250 River with Dr. Dan. Americanism Redux. This is our top 5. And I want to thank our young black woman who is our server at that wayside inn back in Salem 250 years ago today. Thank you so much. Hope you have a great weekend. I'll talk to you soon, and enjoy your day.